Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you. Thank you for being here. I am Debra from Debra Grow Your Light with Debra Zachau. I did not have an intro today because I want it easy for you to edit this and put this up because this is a big day. Hi, Sherry, Voices from the Swamp. CJ, thank you. Charlie, T. Lynn, Bora Bora, of course. Hypnicity, thank you so much for being here. You know what? I'm going to get to the bottom of Gerald, and you get to watch.
And everybody play along, because if you have a fan, bring it out, kids.
I got to get me one of those.
And whatever you do, make sure that you are taking your notes with your tiny hands, because you need those. Everybody needs to use their hands to like this video, share it, subscribe to both of our channels.
Yes, with your tiny
hands. I mean, use your tiny hands to do that.
My God. So. See, this is what I tell you, Gerald, this is what just what you did is what made me think I want to know him better. I want to know him more. And you don't reveal much. I went on your write up on your channel, Tarot Stash, and it was just the basics. Nothing. It's all over mine because I took that marketing class. I am this, I am that, I have done this, and I don't know if it's any good, quite frankly. But people know me.
Yes, and Debra may be an overachiever, and let me tell you, she may be an overachiever because she sent me a whole page of questions, which, thank you, Debra, I will be using to rework my About You. So,
I love that.
I'm using that as an experience. And I would love more people to get private readings with me. Everybody says, oh, you're so busy. Well, I am busy. And I'll absolutely... Hello, SK Quiche. Good to see you. I mean, I like doing private readings. They're much, there's a great deal of satisfaction in them. And I learn as much, I hope, as the person who I'm reading for.
Absolutely. And the thing is that what we do here, if you think what we do here on the channel is that 1 or 2 cards or 5 cards or something like a conversation, if you're impressed with that, if you're stuck, having a private reading will absolutely unstick you. you will rise above it. And so instead of jumping, hi Dawn, thank you, hi Ness, instead of jumping from YouTube psychic to YouTube psychic, asking the same question, consider signing up for a private reading with one of your favorites. And I'm sure Tarot Stash, Gerald here, is going to be one of your favorites because he's mine.
Well, and I think that's a really important thing, because I like the idea of, and I'm preempting one of your questions, I think it's great to get a reading when you feel good and things are going well. So you understand what's working and how to keep that energy flowing. And I personally, when I would before 2020, I would go every 4 months to get a reading, not specifically had a question, but to just check in, and then it unfolds. So
I have experienced that myself with clients. I've done it myself. And the thing is that I was, in my life, when things are going well, I think, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. And I get excited, and then I start making decisions with my emotions, and then I usually mess it up. But if I had someone I could call who remembers me, who remembers my situation, and I catch him up a little bit, and then we're off to the races, that can calm me down. And for the next 3 months, I can remember Gerald's voice said this or that.
So well, and absolutely. It's that idea of more information gives us informed options.
Mm-hmm.
I can still make choices that aren't going to be the best for me.
Yeah.
I mean, but I know, okay, this isn't exactly what I could have done, but it's what I want to do now.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the process. So anyhow.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Cynthia, you're here. Thank you so much. Linda Bishop, so nice to see you. So, one of the first things I wanted to ask you, um, Gerald, is because you're a unique guy. You have this wit, you have this clarity. Uh, I mean, I really do have you on a pedestal because you belong there. You are, know your cards, where you're going with your readings and things like that. What's the thing that makes you unique? And I think we mentioned it before the show.
Oh gosh. One of the things that I do with my readings is I have a tendency to, there's a lot of overlap in the readings, and from different spiritual paths.
Mm-hmm.
So tarot is a great tool, as is, various clairs, being able to, know something, to hear something. I do access Akashic records.
I didn't know that.
I
Didn't
do.
know that.
Yeah. Well, see, but but it wasn't. It was about it maybe about 8-9 months ago that I realized that that the access that I have to the Akashic records is a form of light language. I
Mm.
didn't realize that because my experience with them is very different. And when I first started reading, I would have these experiences to where um, I would go to a place, I would see this information, and I would just open my mouth, and helpful stuff came out. What I have been learning is to not completely step aside, so that it's not full channeling, but I can listen into what I'm saying, to
All
what is
right.
said. So
That's awesome.
so I
So
don't know.
that's
Yeah.
light language to me. I don't know much about it, but light language to me feels like an attunement.
Yes,
The
it
tones,
absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
the tones and the bleeps and all of this stuff. It's like
Mhm.
an attunement. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know much about it. I've heard it before.
Yeah. And what's beautiful is light language can take many forms. Some people it's spoken. Some people do it in music, color, dance, painting. My
Mm.
light language comes through in symbols.
Oh, wow.
So, and
The ancients. The
that's been something
ancients.
I've been playing with. So I've been
Oh,
playing with.
that's great. That's great. Now, to we'll say this once and then maybe in the middle and then at the end. But to schedule a reading with Gerald, just go to his email address, and I believe it's tarotstash@gmail.com,
Yep.
and say, hey man, this is
I
what's
want a
happening.
reading.
This is what's happening in my life. What you got on the menu?
Yep, we can do
That's
that.
all you have to do. Customize it for sure.
Hmm.
Can you
Absolutely.
can you tell me a little bit about where you grew up?
Well, I grew up in Ohio, and I am the youngest of 12 children.
Were you treated nice?
Well, mom and dad stopped when they got it right.
See, this is why I have you on. It's for my sake, just so I could laugh. Okay.
Yeah, but no, oh yeah, I was treated nice. And I had everything that I needed, not everything that I wanted. I think I turned out pretty well. All of my siblings turned out pretty well. And we all
Awesome.
get along. We all get
Really?
along. Yeah. I mean, we have our different opinions, but when the rubber meets the road,
Hmm.
we're in it. We're
Oh,
family. So,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
That is so wonderful. When Have you lived in other places in the world, or have you stuck to USA?
I've mostly stuck to, I've stuck to Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good. You know what? That I guess gotta say that does not surprise me because you are a 9 life path. Now, a 9 life path commonly is known as the humanitarian, but I don't feel that that's true. I have changed it to the legacy builder. And
Oh, that's
that's
a good one. Yeah.
yes, because that is why you write everything down. I don't know if you guys notice. See, it's a sneak peek into the calendar of our boy here. Yes,
Yeah.
everything's in is a hard copy kind of thing. So, and it's not because you need it to remember it. I do believe it's part of your nature to build and
Yes.
build some. So if you were a blogger, in 7 months you'd have a book, right?
Yeah. And yeah, I actually did a knitting blog for a number of years. And that's back when blogging first started, really started to get a lot of traction.
Wow.
I had a hard time writing stuff. So I just did videos, and then I watched the video and then wrote everything down and then
Really?
posted it. Yeah. So
You
that's,
didn't post the video.
oh, I
That was
did
before.
post the video.
Oh,
Yeah. But
okay.
then anything that was noted, I put links in and all stuff like that.
So
So,
efficient. You are so efficient. That is
so
so cool. Well, what on earth happened to you to draw your interest into the psychic sciences?
I,
Did you have like an epiphany or a near death experience, or did you think this is a cool avenue to go down and explore?
I think I came into the world with this interest, and I was blessed by having a mother
Oh,
who was my mother. I grew up Catholic, and my mother found her spirituality in Catholicism. I
huh.
went to seminary for a summer, and I served mass. I was a lector, so I was very interested in the ritual and the ceremony.
Yep. 9 life
Um,
path.
yeah, and so I was fortunate because my mom, Deborah, I could ask her any question, and like one of the things that I said is like, I'm like going, Mom, there's so many different religions in the world. Isn't there something? I mean, there's got to be something that's the same. I mean, didn't they start out the same, and what's the difference? And
Yeah.
so she encouraged me to read stuff. She at one point was going to get me a Talmud, and but she's like going, well, I don't know, go find out. So I
Oh,
was
nice.
encouraged to do that, and I've always had a bit of an inkling and a little bit of flashes of um, of understanding things before they would happen. I didn't talk about it because you just didn't do that.
Right.
So, but
Right. Right.
I didn't. There wasn't really one particular thing per se. It's just sort of a nice buildup.
What was the first modality you dipped your toe in?
Well, I transcendental meditation, did
Yeah.
that for a while, and then I explored tarot. I was very fortunate. I had some friends who were members of a coven. I was not, and they were wanting to learn tarot, so we bought a tarot deck. We studied it together. We
I
read the book,
love
and
that.
it's great. It was so great. So
I love that. I love that.
yeah,
So, so I guess you kind of, well, my next question was, did you stick with one teacher on a topic, and study that exclusively, and then go to another teacher for a deepening of that? And it feels like transcendental meditation you are immersed in, and then to have a coven, have a group of people agree to learn a modality together was really fortunate.
yeah, it was very fortunate, and it was fortunate for me because I was not a member of that coven, because I was doing my own thing. And so I think for me, I am a person who something attracts my attention. I'm going to consume um, lots of tidbits about it. It's hard for me to actually do a real hardcore deep dive. But I'm gathering things so that
Mm-hmm.
I can have access to them. Trust me, I have added a whole bunch of books to my library that are great resources
I love
for
that.
you name it. I mean, you that would actually be a yeah, you could tell my spiritual path by the books that I have on my shelves.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. So, because I've discovered that if you well, this is how I do it. You don't do it this way, but I will buy a book or an ebook or something like that and skim it, and then I'd go the whole way, and then I'd go back and study, and then I'll jump around. I'm a jumper, but
mhm,
there's always something that you can bring on, try out to make sure it fits everything, fits your philosophy and
yeah,
every reading type of thing. But then you just are able to take it and become someone new
mhm.
and offer someone something new.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by books. I mean, literally, I'm looking around me. I have all sorts of books. I used to work in a library. I worked in a library for 32 years. And that makes me comfortable.
Yeah.
I like
Wow.
that. Uh, and to have that gathering, because it for me, it's comforting to know that I can access the information when I need to.
Hmm.
And I'm a firm believer. I've always been a believer of the information that I need will show up exactly when I need it. So, one
That's
of the
true.
first things that I do when I get a book is I look at the introduction, because I'm one of those. I read the introduction and the
Yeah.
preface. I like a book with a table of contents, and I like a book with a really good index. And
Hmm.
if it has a glossary, I'm even happier.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Librarians are the smartest people on the planet.
Well, I think they are they are the people who know where to find accurate information. And
Yes.
so, and do I follow one person um to a point, and then I go, well, that seems weird, and then I go and find things that will help me explore that and to understand it at a deeper level.
Interesting. You'd stick
So
with it, even if if you read my book, which I know you did. I
I did,
appreciate that.
yes,
Um, and you hit to a point that you thought, well, I don't get that. I don't. And so then you would stick with that. And well, I guess you did that.
I
You
did that,
talked to your
yeah.
husband about that. And oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, I am a member of a coven currently, and the high priestess has always said, if somebody tells you you shouldn't read a book, the first thing you should do is get that book and read it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Very good advice.
Hmm.
What has been the most rewarding moment in your career so far?
As a reader,
Mhm.
I think I was doing a reading for someone. It was very interesting. It was partially online, where someone asked their for a message from their father, and I don't see this person, so I'm not going to mention their name. And so they wanted an information from their father, and 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 the message that I got was this person, and was very persistent, and the cards were supporting this, that dad was an a-hole in life,
Oh,
just flat out. And I was going, am I going to say that? I'm going to say
how
that.
do
I'm
I
going to say
say
it.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. And how do I say it? And he's just like, well, just say it. And I said, here you go. This is what Dad says. And the person was like going, yep. And I later did a more in-depth private reading with them. And that was significant for me because I trusted what I was hearing and I just did it. I got my ego out of the way.
It is scary to make a declaration.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, because if he says, no, my dad was really loving, what would you have done? I would immediately, my emotions would go towards the dad because he didn't get the message wrong. It's just his guilt, most likely.
Yeah.
But wow, that's great. And to have the feedback like that.
Oh, it was, yeah. And I didn't get the feedback until I did the private reading with the person. So it was like, okay, I just did that. But there's a beauty in, also for me, it's so, I guess the rewarding moments are when I go, well, normally I would do this. I'm going to do this instead. And that ends up being exactly what the person needs.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that great? That is so great.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, the best part of doing this is the shift that I can bring to someone else, or just a suggested shift, because
Mm-hmm.
I am not a coach. I will not chase you down and make sure you did the homework. No way.
Yeah.
So, but
And
that's what makes me happy.
I did have a reader at one point, or somebody who, I was doing a celebration at a friend's house, and a skeptic came to get a reading.
Oh yeah.
And he was full blown, I'm a skeptic and all this stuff. And I did his reading, and I could tell things that I were saying were making sense to him, because energetically you can see that, or I can see that. And then the following year, he came up and he wanted to be the first person who got a reading from me. So it was
You
really
changed him.
impactful. Yeah. Wow. It was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So here's a funny question. I don't know if you have the answer for it, or if you want to share the answer, because sometimes this is pretty private. So what protocol do you adhere to at the beginning of a reading, or do you have one?
I do have one. I'm always burning incense, usually frankincense. That is my
Nice.
incense of choice. And I wear, people have seen my tiger's eye. I wear my tiger's eye. That for me is, when I'm doing readings online, that works for me. I am making sure that I have my comfort set up. I have my beverage. I have water. I have my notes. And then I have to have just a couple of moments of just silence and just me. Okay, where am I physically? And am I physically lined up with my energy, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure does.
And
Sure
then
does.
when I have a specific, I've talked about this on part of in one of the Laugh and Learns, I shuffle my cards a specific way, and that's how I do my readings.
Yeah.
I riffle shuffle 3 times, I overhand shuffle 3 times, I cut them 3 times, and then I cut them 3 times, and then depending upon the reading, that's how I do it. So,
and then after you, I'm just curious, after you start the reading, do you not shuffle at all? So the stack of cards that you just did all that shuffling with, do they stay in the same spot, or do you?
It depends upon the type of reading.
Interesting.
It depends upon the type of reading. I like doing Celtic crosses because they're a great overview of what's going on. And so I'm picking the last card from all of the remaining stacks that I have. So,
oh, that's awesome.
And
I love that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm also a person who, if I'm doing a personal reading for someone, a private reading, I like to Celtic cross because it gives a lot of information. I also like to, usually in a usually in a private reading, which is 60 to 75 minutes, I'm actually doing layers. I will lay down 3 Celtic crosses on top of each other using different decks. And then you can see the connection between the readings. And it's fascinating. I love
Yeah, because you can that's interesting with the idea of the Celtic cross, and then it'll tell me what's going on if this person was left alone and you didn't influence her at all. The most probable future would be ABC, but
Mhm,
they're sitting in front of you with a future that isn't ABC. So then, as we negotiate and talk and do our thing, then the next cross can tell you if they really are understanding you.
mhm. Yes.
It's really great. Now,
Yeah.
I had mentioned coaches. I'm a lousy coach because I don't keep anybody accountable. If they want to change, they can. I certainly support change. And I don't care how many times you have to come back and ask the same question. That's fine. If you're still stuck, I'll
Yep.
sit there with you. It's no big deal. So I'm curious if you are more of a coach, or do you just move into declarations of truth and making sure people understand and go, or do you keep them accountable? Now, I love the way you talk to your audience because you know them, and
Mhm,
so you will pick up where you left off with that person a lot of
mhm,
times in your shows.
mhm. I try. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm gifted at that memory. This is a beautiful question, because I spent about 20 years of my library career being a trainer and a developer of people. And the
Mm,
last 12 years, I was a management development specialist.
wow.
So if people want, if people want um, if they want that aspect, if they want that coach, I can be that. Because and I was a manager again for 20 years, so I, I worked really hard at getting stuff done through people.
Hmm.
And like you, Deborah, you can ask me the same question as many times as you want. I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead. I mean, because it's telling me you're working on understanding it.
Right.
I am,
Exactly.
if you ask it and I remember that this is like the third time you've asked, I might go, okay, where are you stuck?
Right. Right.
So, I love the idea of being a coach and a mentor.
Oh,
Um,
good.
I can't do your work. I'm not going to do your work. If
Hmm.
I'm working harder than the person that I'm reading for, then there's an issue and I need to have a different type of conversation.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, this
um,
is so valuable. You don't find people like you very often, that have the skills to do that for someone else. And boy, so and like with my readings, you sign up for an hour and we could talk about anything you want. It's not like you're buying a coaching session or you're buying a numerology. A lot of times people will buy an hour from me. And of course, then it goes longer when I realize you want like a one-on-one on how to do numerology or something like that. It doesn't matter what you want to talk about.
yeah,
And, but now that people know that you have the talent and the know-how to be a coach, I think that's a very good thing in your portfolio.
well, thank you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one thing I believe I'm very good at is holding space for people.
Hmm.
I try to meet people where they are, and I think everybody, when they hear the truth, they recognize it as true. It's just making sure that we're holding space so that they can process it in the way that works for them.
Hmm.
And I had a mentor a long time ago who said, Honesty without support is brutality.
Say that again. Honesty without
Honesty
support.
without support is brutality.
I'm not sure I follow the support part. What
If
does that
I say
look like?
something, if I say something honest to you and I'm mean about it,
Oh, yeah.
that's pretty brutal. But if
Yeah.
I'm just saying, hey, I just want you to know, this is what happens when this occurs. I wanted you to know that. It goes back to that idea of holding space.
That's right. Exactly. Well put. That's great.
Thanks.
How soon after realizing you wanted to have a life of service like this did you actually start your YouTube channel? I mean, the leap between no YouTube and YouTube is quite a leap. So what did that
Yeah.
look like for you?
Well, I was very fortunate. This group of friends of mine who were in a coven, and I was not a coven member. They called me their oracle.
Oh,
So I
mm,
was invited in to participate in different rituals and different different aspects, and to be able to convey these messages. So it was beautiful, and that was a great honor and a privilege. And I said yes whenever they needed it because I knew it was so helpful.
right.
I knew it was so helpful.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So you did talk a little bit about how spirit speaks to you, and but I'd like to know more about it. Like, is it hearing, feeling, seeing, touching, or
It
is it a
is.
mix?
It's mostly claircognizance. I get a
Uh,
sense of it, and then when I follow that and pull it away, there is an unfolding of the if I'm speaking with somebody's ancestors, because I like talking to the dead. I'm good with that.
oh,
I
I
love
love
talking to
that.
dead
See,
people. Love
we're
talking
learning
to
so
dead
much
people.
about you.
Yeah. I love talking to dead people. I love talking to spirit guides. It's a lot of fun. I oftentimes I don't see them, but it's almost like there's then it's part of the process of expressing it out loud and
Yeah,
what I'm experiencing. Then there's that connection. So it's really really a privilege to be able to do that.
that's so
So
cool.
I can't say that I hear things. It's mostly an understanding.
I think
There are
that's
some
great.
times where it's the clairaudience will show up, and that clairaudient. Okay, I have to slow down a little bit because the clairaudience really does show up, especially when I'm like going, all right, I have to say this because they won't shut up. When I'm talking, when spirit guides or I'm looking at tarot cards that are down.
Right.
It's this then sense of, wow, there's a whole lot of information here, and I keep being drawn back to this, and finally they
Yeah.
get my attention. And then, and so um I'm always evolving those, and to be honest with you, Deborah, I'm very fortunate that is I am very fortunate too. It's like you and our energies meld very nicely together,
Hmm.
and my energies adjust and work well with many people.
Hmm.
And so doing those type of readings is so much fun, and sharing
Yeah.
that space, because it's like supersize it. It's great.
Right.
It's great.
Well, that's wonderful. That's
Did I
well.
answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, you did, because it was. I wondered how they communicate with you. You had mentioned symbols when you, because that would be seeing the movie. I remember talking to a friend of mine,
Nope.
and I said, "You know that movie that plays when you close your eyes? It's kind of still just white and black, but it goes on and on and on." And she goes, "No." Oh, that was the first time I thought, because people do it from, I mean, they think everybody does that. So
Mhm.
all the people
Well,
watching us, they have gifts and they think everyone has gifts. And that's
well,
not true.
that's beautiful, and I'm glad you said that because it hasn't been. It's probably been in the last 10 years where I've started to understand that my experiences are not like everyone else's,
Yeah.
and that's okay. They're no less different. I mean, they're different, but they're no less important.
Hmm.
So for me, that was in the last 10 years, in particular, the last 4 years on YouTube, really understanding I do have a unique perspective, and it works for some people, and it doesn't work for other people,
Right.
and that's okay. There's
Right.
room for all of us.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
I think I'm going to save that next one at the bottom of this page for the last. This is switching. I want to say, have you experienced a miracle? Well, waking up every day is a miracle. I know, no, but was there something that happened?
I don't
Spontaneous healing or something?
I haven't experienced anything like that. A lot of what happens for me are beautiful synchronicities.
Yeah.
And so for me, those beautiful synchronicities are are little gifts. They're things, they're the dots on the map. Follow that, follow that, follow that, follow that, follow that. You don't need to know where you're going, just follow the synchronicities.
Angels lean you towards the good. They can't
Um,
push you. They can't tell you. They lean you.
yep, yep, yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
for
So
sure.
there have been some beautiful things that, I've not had a spontaneous healing or anything like that, but those synchronicities are pretty miraculous.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love them. And it's worth it to tell someone, speak it out that, oh,
Yes.
you won't believe what happened today, this and then
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's like
And
honoring.
by the way, more people are coming in, and thank you everybody for being here.
Oh,
I'd just like Kim, Earth Steward, Robert Fierro, Lupe.
oh,
You
hi,
all are
Lupe.
wonderful. Thank you for being here. It
I'm
makes me feel
sorry.
good that this many people would want to know about me.
Oh yeah, you're the man. Let me tell you. I'm sorry. I had my sights set on the banner, so that didn't go too long, and then I didn't go into the chat. So hi, Kim Lee, and,
No,
and Annie is here. Anna is here.
yeah,
Robert,
it's great.
do you know Robert Fierro Tarot? I like
Yes,
that.
he did readings with me on Monday. It was great.
I'll have to check that out and
Mhm.
check him out. I'm checking you out, Robert.
Just checking you
Nothing
out.
like going behind the scenes and I forgot you're hearing me.
Yeah,
We can hear you, Deb. Okay. So
nothing secret. Nothing secret.
see, I gotta tell you, when I didn't have this chat on, I was thinking, oh, it's just you and me in a room.
Yeah.
I did. What's the very best advice you've ever received? It doesn't have to be just one.
The very best advice I received. Um, One thing that okay, well, that honesty without support is brutality. That
Mm-hmm.
really sticks in my mind, and also I, I I love the idea of it's like when someone gives you a compliment, take it in. You don't have to believe them,
Yeah.
but it's important that you allow them to share what is real for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like going, ooh, wow, that's really helpful
Mm-hmm.
for me to understand because I've learned how to accept compliments and to hear nice things.
Right.
That takes some time, and to believe them. So, okay, and this might be a little snarky, but
Love it.
my job is to respect you. It's your job to give me something to respect.
Ooh, I like that.
So my job is to respect you. It's your job to give me something to respect.
Very nice.
And the other thing is asking for help is a sign of strength.
That's good.
That one has probably been one that has gotten me through a lot of times, a lot of tough times.
Right.
Especially because if I remember that if somebody is asking for help and I go, that took a lot of courage for them to ask for help,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do whatever I can to support them and to help them.
Yeah.
And if I don't ask for help, I'm denying someone else the opportunity to
Serve.
provide help and to
Mm-hmm.
serve. Yeah. So.
Right. So I've got a couple. Olivia was saying that's hard for her as well.
Oh, it's still hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple more questions, and then we still have a few more minutes. So if people have questions for Gerald, please type. Yeah, please type them in all capital letters. I appreciate that. So I wanted to ask about your North Star, your declaration of truth, but I think that went together with what you just said. So if you have anything more to say about that, what your North Star is, I think it's just being sincerely. I think you're just so sincere, and that is your the way you handle all troubles that come, all good things that come. Just being really sincere. So
I do my best with that, but I think the other thing about my North Star is what do I authentically want? So, even the bird agrees.
I know. Oh, my bird. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, the bird is there. So, but I think it is one of those things that my North Star, my true north is what is my authentic self wanting? And because when I spend enough time and listen, I've got to shut up and I've got to actually listen. What's really interesting is when I listen and I am okay with not knowing the answer when I ask the question and it unfolding, it's a deeper understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. It does.
So
you thought it was my dog? That bird. My bird is having troubles. When I said ask him a question, I was thinking you would ask him about his personal life.
And Robert just posted one.
Yeah, just had one. Do you ever lose your cool?
Yes.
What's it look like?
I do not do it very often. The last time I did it was when I was very young. I think I was in 9th grade.
Stop.
I mean, okay, no, that's not true. Okay, I remember the time that really put it into perspective. My 9th grade art teacher, I was mad. I was in 9th grade. And it was like, arr, arr, arr. And the teacher looked at me and he said, just because you're in a bad mood doesn't mean the rest of us have to be in one.
Oh.
And I went, okay.
Snap.
Yeah. Talk about that. So that has actually stuck with me. The other thing is that I've done it a couple of other times, and I don't like that because it's very uncomfortable, and it's just, it's gross.
It's hard to lose control of your emotions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so when that happens, it's going from, it's swimming in a swimming pool of clear water, because for me, swimming in clear water to suddenly swimming in tar is how
Yeah.
it is. And it's really, really hard to do.
And then, he's laughing at you. Robert, you're funny.
I mean,
um,
yeah, because I am a Western astrology, I'm a Scorpio, Cancer. So I am all water.
oh,
Don't lie to
wow.
me, because I know you're lying to me.
You're really connected to spirit too. Wow.
Yeah. So I don't like that when I get angry and when I lose my cool, but it's
Uh,
happened.
I've got one more. I've got one more question I want to ask you from
Yeah.
my list, and then I'm going to. Cynthia has one. Thank you, Cynthia. Um, what are the? Wait. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Okay. Are they all at the same dinner party?
Oh, say they fight?
No. I mean, because what's
No, you
really
can go out
interesting,
3 times.
because I would be very curious to have dinner with Buddha
Mm,
and to have dinner with Jesus.
boy,
And
the menu will be very light on
well,
both of
but
those.
see, yeah, but what's interesting about that is because there's thoughts that Jesus may have studied under Buddha, and I want to
Yes.
see if they know each other. But also, what's fascinating to me is I want to know what they really said and what their intention was.
Ah,
What did you really mean by that?
right.
So,
That's good.
yeah, and then I think if I think the other person is I would actually like to have dinner with, and this may sound a little strange to people, but I think it would be great to have dinner with my parents
Oh,
when and during their first year of marriage, to see what the two of them were like, when it was just the two of them, just to
oh,
see, because I know mom and dad loved each other, and I know they had a communication with it. I mean, they would have been married 55 years, when dad died. They didn't always get along. That's okay. You don't
yeah,
always get along.
right.
But I thought it would have been fun to see what they were like, in their first year of marriage.
That's cool.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So we do have.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love these questions. Thank you,
yeah, yeah,
everybody.
yeah, 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 yeah. Do you see the other side like angels, shadows, etc.? If so, how do you respond? So, in other words, I'm reading that as physical in your house.
Oh, not often. I typically get more of a sense. There's a clear cognizance. And what's interesting is this idea of like angels and shadows. What's really fascinating for me is, there's always duality. You can't have light without dark. You can't have dark without light, and everything is fluid and everything is equally important. So I'm oftentimes paying attention to those. I don't know if I'm answering your question. How do I respond
Hmm.
when stuff like that shows up? Sometimes I will go, I see you, I'm busy. Or and sometimes, I mean, my spirit guides, or my spirit team has a similar sense of humor that I have.
Of course.
And so oftentimes there's this, what are you doing? So So there's a camaraderie around it.
I
So
love that. I
Cynthia, I
just
hope
love
that
that.
helps and answers your question.
Yeah, that's great. We've got Dawn here. It says, how does it work for you laying multiple tarot decks on a Celtic cross? That sounds so confusing to me when I do a reading.
I I usually what I'm doing is I'm using mini decks, or I'm using like decks in a tin, and I do lay them, and they're very different. I when I'm doing a private reading for someone, based upon their question, determines the deck that I use.
Mm-hmm.
So I will lay it down. I will also write down the numbers so that I have the cards, and if something gets mixed up, I can work it. But Dawn, you just have to have a surface, and you just have to know um, which each deck is for. Because let me tell you, when I'm doing a reading, and I did a reading for somebody recently, and they had the Page of Wands in all three layers in different positions.
I love it when
And
it
the
happens
Celtic
like
cross,
that.
yes. And that goes back to what you were talking about with Allie and Sherry and Val and
Mm-hmm.
Marina. You know, that the the numbers, or
Pattern,
the
the numbers, the
patterns.
patterns.
Yeah, the patterns. And so it's interesting, because when that happens, that's a beautiful gift. And I make sure the person who I'm doing the reading for knows that that's a beautiful gift. And it just shows the progression that someone is taking.
Right.
And it's like, here's your connection point. And the other thing that's great, Dawn, I love this question. I could talk for hours on this, because visually the cards will tell a tale. Because there may be a seashell in one reading, and then the seashell shows up on the next layer. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same card, but there's the same connection. And for me, that's, as I mentioned earlier, I do layered readings, and it's
Mm-hmm.
my job. I mean, I experience the world in transparencies. Do you remember transparencies?
I do remember
Deborah?
those. Yeah.
I love those. And when I first started my official study in in Wicca, I wanted to overlay everything with transparencies. So the transparent tarot is a great tool for me.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
So, and Cynthia said, "What are you doing? Sounds like something those who see these things might say." Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I missed that.
It's
Doggone it.
lower. It's lower in the
Oh,
chat. She just
oh, oh,
posted
oh,
it.
oh.
Thank you.
So, okay, let me just.
No, that's Cynthia.
What are you
Cynthia said
doing,
that. It's not Dawn.
Cynthia? Yeah, something like. There's somebody that said something really neat. No, I think it was it Don?
Yeah.
Yeah, with your dinner with Jesus and Buddha. I think that's great.
I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
And the next one was a fun perspective on our parents.
Yeah. Well, and I saw that, those are, I remember at one point, back when I was in college, and I had I'd graduated from college, and I was really living on my own. I made my parents a little book of all of the things that I learned from them. And I made one for Mom, and I gave it to her on Mother's Day. I gave one to my dad for Father's Day. And it was just like it's just the little gems. And I just wanted them to know. But I would love to know what they were like when they first met. So it's fun.
Huh. I have a theory about that.
Yes.
I've said it before. Oh, but here's Suzanne has a question. Never mind. Did you have a mustache like in college, or after you got out of school, or became a man, or what? However, I want to put it. I have seen you in so many places, and you've always had a mustache, and she loves it.
This mustache has taken me a good 5 years to really work on, 5 or 6 years. I do not have fast growing facial hair. It's genetics. I had so, and it was just because I thought somebody laughed and like going, you look like one of the villains who is tying somebody to the train tracks and driving the thing. And I'm like going, well, or
I can live with that.
Or in Frosty the Snowman, the animated,
Oh,
the
yes.
magician has a
Yeah,
mustache. So
I
I like
love
it
that.
too. I like it too. It's
I
fun.
like it.
Yeah.
It's you. Oh,
Snidely
Snidely
Whiplash.
Whiplash. Yes, that's what
Yes. Yes.
somebody would have known. What was the dog's name in the cartoon? Whenever he was given a biscuit, he went, oh, and he would float up in the air and float down. Do you remember that? Do you remember
I don't
him?
remember that one.
Oh my gosh. I hope somebody remembers.
I don't remember
Of
that one.
course, I'm 3 hours younger than you because you're on the East Coast. So
Yes, yes,
maybe
and you'll
that's why.
remember it. I'll remember it in 3 hours. And
You got my
well,
number.
and and let's face it. Now, Tarot Stash is a great name for my channel because I do tarot. I have a mustache, but I also have a stash of decks. So tarot stash. There's a
I
there's a
love
play
that.
on words there.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
So
So, again, how can we support you? We want to see you successful, and uh, so I'm just going to get the banner out again. Ticker tape. See, I'm not very good at this. So there we are. So I know emailing you is a good way to do this.
yes, send me an email. Let me know that you want a reading. I will try to effectively respond to those. And the readings that I do, Deborah, I can do half-hour readings. My hour readings usually end up being about 75 minutes, 90 minutes, but you've got the time.
I know. I jibber jabber. Like sometimes I go so long in my readings that they say, "Okay, I gotta go." Thanks.
Yeah. But I do a variety of things. I do a lot of tarot, but I'm also, depending upon the question, I may be contacting spirit guides. I can talk to people who have crossed over. I can access Akashic records. That's always fun for me. And sometimes I am privileged enough to really just to really listen back and to be able to help people formulate a good question that helps with meet them where they are and support them as they're following their North Star.
Right.
So
right. That is right. Oh gosh, this has been so fun.
This
and we're
great.
Right at an hour. So I want you all to go to Tarot Stash and like and subscribe. But I think you all have done that. But those of you on the replay, whenever I say the word subscribe, the subscribe button, if you're not subscribed yet, sparkles. Did you know that?
I did know that. Yes,
I think
awesome.
It's the coolest thing. Oh my gosh.
Awesome. And
Yes. Snuffles in Quick Draw McGraw. McGraw. Yeah. That's right. That little white dog would just want viscous. It was so relatable.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
it was the
Yeah.
funniest thing. Oh my gosh. Well, oh my gosh, we have had such a good time together. And our hour is up. Thank you everyone for coming in. And thank you everyone who has the replay, has done the replay. I'm just going to get my outro going. See, I'm not really bad about this. Wow. Anyway, we love you.
It, Deborah.
I'm learning.
You can stop that. You're not doing bad about this. It's fine.
I got to tell you, I was so scared because I can't multitask very well. And then it dawned on me with YouTube, if someone's laughing at you, you just never hear it. So you don't know that you're being laughed at. I
Yeah.
kind of like that part.
Yeah.
But I love everyone. We'll see you later real soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye bye.
Bye.